Of course, the holiday season includes Kwanzaa, a week-long celebration of African culture, family, and community. Each day from December 26th through January 1st is dedicated to one of seven principles of Kwanzaa. The Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History in Detroit has several events planned for Kwanzaa, and I got all the details from the museum's manager of community engagement, Yolanda Jack. I know this is a very busy time of year at the Wright Museum, a lot of exciting things going on, and
Indeed.
attended a few things myself. But let's look ahead just a little bit and talk about Kwanzaa. So,
Wonderful.
what's the plan for this year?
So we're having a wonderful celebration. We're really excited about Kwanzaa as we are every year. We are renewing and continuing our relationship with the world's largest kinara. So on the 26th, we'll be downtown and seeing that get lit. And we're really excited about how we've made connections not only here in the city of Detroit, across our city, but there are other locations around the U.S. that are now making large kinaras to be on display with their cities. And so we have a connection to Philadelphia, and who has the second largest kinara. And so the woman who led that process in Philadelphia will be here in Detroit this weekend over the time frame, as well as our presentations in person. So on Friday the 27th, from 6 to 8 p.m., we'll have a presentation with Nanu Japo and some historical individuals talking about their self-determination, Kujichagulia. And on Ujima, the third day, the 28th, from 2 until 4 p.m., we'll have a presentation, panel discussion, intergenerational conversation, thinking about history in the civil rights movement and moving forward into the work that we know that we'll be focused on in terms of society and civil rights and equality, legislation, just the way that we live here in the society of the United States of America, and how to maintain our resilience and excitement and commitment and determination towards the work of justice and equality. And then on the 29th, our last presentation in person at the museum, we will have In Their Tradition doing a wonderful jazz concert. And then on and following or during the same time from noon until 5, there'll be a marketplace. So you'll be able to come and purchase some of those holiday gifts that you might want to get or just be prepared for the next year.
That's great. Such a great cross section. And as you've already mentioned, every day has an African term that describes it and a particular theme. So now what's the theme for the first day?
So the first day, the holiday always begins in unity on the 26th. So Umoja is the first principle. The Nguzo Saba, the seven principles, are Umoja on the first day, Kujichagulia on the second day, self-determination. The third day, Ujima, collective work and responsibility. And the fourth day, Ujima, cooperative economics. The fifth day is Nia, or purpose. The sixth day is the day that most people are familiar with because that's the day we have the big Karamu celebration where people bring food and have a great time hanging out together. On the sixth day of Kuumba, creativity. And then the seventh day, the last day of Kwanzaa, is the first day of the new year. And we begin that first day of the new year with faith, or Imani.
So fitting, so fitting. And of course, fitting, like you said, that Detroit is the leader with all of this, with the biggest Canara, and that's so important. So you mentioned the marketplace and the opportunity for people to shop. But in addition, the Wright has such a fabulous museum store. Now, will that open as well?
Absolutely. The museum store is open now and has wonderful objects and items, things that you can include in your home for your decor for Kwanzaa, or if you're looking for things for your Christmas tree or to put under your Christmas tree, you're certainly able to go to the museum store to take care of those needs. And there will be a wonderful opportunity in the museum, in the rotunda, and in the store to just purchase all the things that you like to purchase for the new year, an array of vendors, food items, clothing items, jewelry, all kinds of stuff will be available on the 29th from noon until 5.
Awesome. So the rotunda will be the site where all of these activities take place.
Yes.
So then will the displays and the other parts of the museum all be open?
Absolutely. Our exhibitions, Gems of the Wright Museum, will be opening. And then we have a wonderful way to honor Paul Collins, one of our Michigan's great artists, who we have art of his in our exhibitions and Still We Rise, etc. So yes, we do have some wonderful exhibitions. Of course, the And Still We Rise, the main core, as we call it, at the museum. And then we have the continuing Frontline Prophet featuring the work of Sabrina Nelson, with the idea of James Baldwin as the featured subject of that exhibition. So yeah, there's lots to see and do at the museum, not only in terms of the exhibitions, but the programs and activities. Come on down to the Wright Museum.
So tell me about things for kids.
There'll be wonderful presentations during the holiday on Friday. We encourage people to come to the program and see what's going on in the program. But on Saturday and Sunday, we'll have activities for the family to engage in and projects as well as little things that people can do to learn more about Kwanzaa, how they can celebrate it in their homes, but also how they can connect to it outside as well.
Great. And you mentioned, I know one day in particular about music, but I'm sure music is probably an integral part throughout.
Oh, yes, you'll be having African drum and dance on Friday night. You'll have the jazz music of In the Tradition on Sunday, but you'll always, almost every presentation, have some aspect of drumming and a representation because of the way we light the candles for the lighting of the kinara during the presentations and the ceremonies therein. So yeah, you'll see and hear wonderful music all throughout the programs.
Okay. So we are wrapping up the year, and I know that next year is a really exciting year for the museum. Can you give us any kind of sneak peek or preview of
Oh
what's
boy,
happening for the 60th anniversary?
there's so much in store. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but there are some wonderful, wonderful surprises for our 60th anniversary celebration. We began it with our gala presentation in October, just thinking about the upcoming new year of 60 years. Celebrating 60 years of the Wright Museum is just really wonderful and exciting. This is an exciting time for us at the museum, and so we're really excited to have people come in and enjoy not only the programming, but some of the special highlights and ways to focus in and remember Dr. Wright 60 years ago, what he was doing then, how this museum came into the fore, but not only Dr. Wright, but Margaret Burroughs in Chicago. I mean, just it was the museum movement of the time. And so these men and women of our community are going to be remembered, honored, and we'll just have a really good fun time.
Awesome. He has such an incredible story
Oh
from being,
my.
you know, a physician and then supporting this and growing it. And so it's very inspiring. And I'm sure you always have to throw that plug in that the way that the museum continues to flourish is to support it financially.
You took the words out of my mouth. Thank you so much. Because every institution, any institution, is as strong as its membership. We want you to join the museum. Become a member. Go to thewright.org, click on to become a member, and join. If you already have your membership, consider gifting the museum as a gift to your members of your family or friends who haven't. I have an opportunity to join because membership has its benefits, and we really are excited about what's going on, not only this year and next year, but in the years to come, because we're creating history right now, and we want to make certain that these stories that we're involved in today don't get forgotten. And so there's a place, the Wright Museum, that will be holding them.
Thank you so much for joining us and appreciate it and continued success.
Thanks so much, and happy holidays to everybody.
Finally, today, we want to take a moment to recognize the life and legacy of renowned poet, author, and activist Nikki Giovanni. She passed away recently at the age of 81. American Black Journal contributor Cecilia Sharp of 90.9 WRCJ had a chance to speak in depth with Giovanni earlier this year at the Charles H. Wright Museum.
I listened to you reciting quilts and then I read it, and it was so inspirational and so many takeaways from quilts. One thing that stood out is that we all have a purpose, and at any age or stage of life you have something to share. But today, when everyone is so distracted, whether it's with social media or someone telling you how you should be, or how to talk and influences, how do you encourage people to find their purpose, walk in it, and live as their authentic selves?
I don't think it's, I don't try to encourage, I don't try to do anything but share what I know. And all I really have are words. And words are, you know, little. Words are very small things.
They make a big impact.
But that's also a part of the quilt, because we're talking, so we're building a quilt. Or if we were 200 years back, we would be enslaved, and we would be making a stew. And we would be telling the story that would become a folk tale. And we would be teaching our children and hoping that their children taught their children, because our children, we're two women here, would have been taken away from us and sold. So the last thing, even though they may not know that they heard it, that our children would have heard was, if anybody asks you who you are, tell them you're a child of God. And that's what we gave to our children, which is a part of the quilt, that there's always going to be a little something that you carry with you, and you can pass it along, and you can pass it along. And that's what's important, that everybody has something to give. And I love that poem so much. I'm reading it and I'm crying half the way through. I've really not gotten to the point that I can read that poem without tears coming to my eyes, because you remember, I mean, I have a quilt. My grandfather has a tie in there, you know, and my you know, I have the baby, you know, this is the baby who died, who had pneumonia. And so all of these things come into, this is how we tell our history. So in one respect, I do not worry about fools. I don't worry about what they have to say. We're not going to tell your story. I don't need them to tell my story, because for 200 years, we told our story, and we are going to continue to tell our story, because our story cannot be not told. But on the other hand, like all people who only have words, I am going to continue to talk. But all of the great people on earth, you show me a great person, and I'll show you what he and she did. What they did was talk. And that's even Harriet Tubman, who led people to freedom, but she led them to freedom because they said Moses is coming. And she was the one walking around and saying, Moses is coming, get ready. It's all talk.
And you can see the entire Nikki Giovanni interview at AmericanBlackJournal.org. That's going to do it for us for this week. You can find out more about our guest on our website. Plus, connect with us anytime on social media. Take care, and we'll see you next time.